Okay, hi there. We're going to have a bit of conversation with Antti regarding the topic. But before we go to the conversation part, I'm going to give a bit of definition of automation for our conversation. So to define the automation, it's a use of technology in terms of tasks or processes with very minimum intervention from human beings. It may involve a wide range of technologies, ranging from robotics, AI, software tools, and whatnot. But for our conversation, we're actually more focused on the human aspect and how the collaboration between human and machines will happen. We're going to discuss mainly on two themes. One is the role of automation in terms of leadership and decision making. And the second one is value of automation, how it's perceived. So let's start with the role of automation. What do you think is the key benefits for instance, for Finnair? What's the key benefit of having the automation in there?
Yeah, there are multiple ones. If we start with kind of the traditional ones that you have the cost efficiencies, how you make sure that you are able to do things faster, getting the things faster to the market. Then the second part could be that you are having your revenue sources increased, which are actually both in our strategy. So the whole strategy of Finnair is based on automation at the moment. So we are looking into revenue gains and the cost gains. But then the big thing for us from the AI and automation is really that you actually are able to do things in a much bigger scale than you would be with just using humans, so to speak, or just using standard or normal ways of computing. So what we have in our operations is that basically the decision on which plane to run, which plane to delay, is done by AI. So we are analyzing the whole network all the time, 24/7, 365 days, and all the time trying to figure out if something happens, if there's a delay. It used to be so that the humans made the decision based on basically how many passengers were aboard, because that was the easy one calculated figure. But now actually how it's done is that because we are a network airline, we are running planes in the different locations at the same time, all in the air, some in the ground, and trying to make the most optimal flight plan for the rest of the day. As an example, previously we would have been saying that the most important flight in the morning is the one from Helsinki to Shanghai, but actually it's from Oulu to Helsinki. Because the flight from Oulu to Helsinki, if that lands in time, it will be able to go to Rome, pick up the Italians to get on the plane to go to Japan, which are the most valuable customers from the company value perspective.
Oh, that's impressive, actually, when you describe it like with the actual really practical use case. What do you think? What are the types of decisions that humans are good at, and then the machines are good at?
Yeah, it's especially first of all the mass calculation when you have multiple different variables in the network, that data network environment that you need to be able to take into consideration hundreds of parameters basically. It's something that you need to leave for the machines. The machines is always able to figure out the best possible outcome or outcomes, and there comes the last thing, that the final outcome of those potential 5 different outcomes, that should be left to humans to decide that which one of these 5 we will then be selecting, because there could be something completely out of the mathematics and out of the data that is not telling. So it could be ethical reason, there could be some other brand-related reason. We need to be able to serve this because of that, and these final decision should be led to humans. The other areas where we see our side that where you really need to have the boundaries between the machine and the human is that whenever the cause effect of that is something in the more and more future and more long lasting, then it should be also done by the humans or done by the decision made by the human brain, so to speak.
Okay, I think this distinction is kind of clear at the same time, and I think it gets challenged all the time. Like if you think about the future and what it brings, I think this interaction is getting more and more well, complicated.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we can now see kind of, I guess that everybody in the audience and also I guess everybody at Finnair has been playing around with ChatGPT and figuring out new ways of doing things and been amazed by the fact that you have a simple UI that actually allows you to test things out, which previously kind of we discussed this previously, a bit like an alchemy, and now it starts to be a bit like it's just, in a sense, just a tool. Like Jinping was saying, the co-pilot is going to come in, so it's going to be your partner in doing everything.
Obviously, there's a fear of change.
Yeah.
And it is on the individual level, and it's maybe corporate function level, and so forth. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's really important topic, and I think that the whole thing of adapting AI is more about change management. It's actually technology is there. It's everybody can take it into use. It's actually cheap to take it into use. It's cheap to trial, cheap to test, but it's all about change management. How do you make sure that you make these kind of long-lasting changes in your processes, in the way how the organization runs, and also the culture that we actually embrace the data, we embrace the data made decisions, and we embrace the kind of having the AI as our co-pilot in flying the planes in a sense. So that's the kind of the really the important part of it. So how do we enable the kind of the whole organization and the whole culture to adopt AI basically in everything we do?
How would you reflect that on the individual level? How people will embrace that change? What have you done, for instance, in your context?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and of course it's a personal. It's always depends on the individual, or always depending on the individual tasks and the kind of way what you actually are doing. But how we have approached it is basically that we have a kind of in a systematic way now with the kind of the use of AI, we are basically having on an existing strategy program, we have actually given the one team to have an option to use the AI. And first they kind of thought that okay, bit of a kind of scare how that actually means, but then it was kind of also embraced by the teams to see the first demos. I mean, that's the thing, that when you see something and you actually understand that, okay, this thing that we thought that there might be actually is somewhere in the future, actually is now today here. And then at the same time, you actually realize that, hey, my role changed. I need to change my role. I'm no longer doing this part of the process, and I have a complete different ability to do stuff because of the ability to basically do more, and ability to do in a kind of better interactions with the AI, and also frees time from kind of every day running different tasks into actually making new processes, new development, and complete new business cases as well.
That is actually very much aligned to my own experience that change requires on the individual level. It requires that you get a new experience that will actually kind of make your understanding or make you understand better what this actually means. And what you described is kind of you are actually kind of systematically involving or getting people to get these new experiences. Yes. And by doing that, the fear kind of diminishes at least.
Yeah, fear goes away. And then it's also then the fact that by testing only, you actually are able to find if something works or it doesn't work. And through that, of course, you need to be able to make the decision that, okay, now we go back. This was too far. Some of you might even recognize this from the yellow press in Finland, that we in some areas might have gone a bit too far. So it's also then kind of considering that where we actually take decisions based on the kind of, again, the brand ethics and all of these things that you actually, at least so far, you can't teach the machine to have, but maybe that's also coming. So now looking at GPT-4, it can do amazing stuff already. So it could be also something that those discussions and those decisions are then something that at least could assist to kind of please consider this and this and this, but then you made the decision.
Yeah. Let's move to the value of automation. We already discussed the benefits. So maybe I would go like from the risk point of view. How do you de-risk, or how do you deal with the challenges that automation?
Yeah, if we start kind of in a sense, airlines is an interesting spectrum that we basically have our own everyday AI within the planes already. So it's the real co-pilot. Shipping has their own co-pilot. We have the real co-pilot. So that's already in a sense that the automation that runs the planes and also lands the planes is something that we've been having that for many decades already. Now it's getting improved. It's getting better. In some areas, actually, it removes the human risk of things. So also the automation can go so far that actually in some cases it's much better to rely on the automation than on the humans. And in some cases it's the other way around. So it's always constantly you need to balance that how do you run these things. And overall the risk management side, you are able to, with the use of external data, with use of AI on top of external data, you actually can find new risks that you wouldn't see internally, and you wouldn't be able to analyze it. One area for us, as the brand is so critical, we are doing the social media analysis to understand that if something is now popping up, because we are doing a lot of changes now at Finnair. So we need to understand that if this change actually, how is what proceed, what's the real perception behind the kind of our own PowerPoints and our own testing, but when you go to the real environment, the actual customer feedback then comes from multiple sources.
Yeah, I think you're kind of describing the fact that world is complex and we can't kind of foresee all the possible outcomes, and we kind of need to be kind of reactive in it and thinking about where do we get that information faster, as you mentioned, like in the social media. It might be something that you haven't even thought of in the beginning.
Yes.
How about when we talk about actual the value? There's always like the question that, okay, what's the value of automation?
Yeah.
How do you go about answering that question? Because I think that's probably a question that you get quite a bit.
Yeah, question all the time. So it's of course when you need to kind of value the investment. There are multiple different ways how do you value the AI and use of AI. Of course, there's the kind of direct financial benefits that you have, whether it's scaling up the teams that you have working with you. You're able to have a quicker time to market. You are able to understand and process bigger amount of data, and through that make a better decision. And that's then the hard part to kind of justify that. How you would you without actually trying. So it's a bit of in some cases a bit of a leap of faith to go forward, but then you need to have this kind of agile approach to it, that you actually test, you try, and then you get there to understand whether the value is there or not. So it's more about safely trying and figuring out the value than kind of first making a huge business case and then understanding that, okay, maybe we had the complete wrong assumptions, and those assumptions can kind of divert you in the complete wrong direction.
I think that challenges in a way the leadership, that the predictability part of it, that everybody wants the predictability. Yes. At the same time, we are facing the fact that, well, nobody kind of knows.
Yeah.
How do you see the kind of connecting the value and role questions? That what's the role of leadership then? Like how do you enable even having that conversation?
Yeah, and it always, when it comes to leadership, it always starts from the leader itself. And in an organization, it needs to start from the board and from the CEO, that they also understand the value and they can start talking about the value and kind of putting that value, in a sense, top down. But at the same time, it needs to be bottom up from the people that are doing their everyday tasks, that they realize that, hey, by having our assistant here to do these parts of tasks actually allows me to innovate, allows me to spend less time on this kind of non-productive tasks, allows me to be more productive for the whole company, and allows me to be more precise on my work that I'm doing. So it's kind of multiple dimensions from the individual perspective. And in the end, the individual kind of the top-down in encouragement and the bottom-up really understanding of what the process is, what we actually are trying to achieve. When those kind of match, then we are in a good position. Our own example about this is that we actually now working with our disruption management. So disruption is a case where the airplane is delayed for a technical fault or something, and we need to accommodate all the passengers to hotels and do everything and figure out the next flights, where to go and what's all going on. And that's a really personal experience for the customer. So
Yeah.
we want to be also kind of providing that personal experience to the customer, that the customers need to understand that, okay, we are taking care of with their preferences and with their kind of choices, that how do they like to be treated. Whether it's the kind of getting to a hotel or then staying for 4 hours at the airport and then leaving during the night and then kind of hassle on the other end of the trip in a sense.
How do you see then the impact of automation in because you are kind of describing the value of it and also we were discussing about the risk and specific use cases. But if you take a kind of step back and think about what's the impact of automation to Finnair, how do you see that?
Yeah, for us it's really in the core of everything that we do, and it's really a good kind of. I would say that it's the next level competitive advantage to the others. So that's the reason also why we want to be the first ones to move in this space as fast as possible. And we've been already working on these topics previously. So it's bringing out the value to our operations, it's bringing the value to our customers for better customer experience, and it's then bringing the kind of the employee experience as well to get rid of the kind of the cumbersome tasks and provide that to the automation to really do. And it's all of these combined will then kind of be the in a sense the future Finnair way of working. So what we are now looking is these kind of end-to-end processes that where the actual automation will help, not on a single step, but as the whole way for the whole process, that how would actually we will change it.
Okay. And what's your role in it?
Yeah, it's been now a bit of a kind of a executive board champion in a sense that it is our sponsor. So that's one role there. It's also been great that, for example, I'm now in the disruption management case. I'm there to kind of to challenge the team in a sense. I'm there to kind of ask the really stupid questions because I'm not an airline person. So I still can. I've been down 10 months in the company, so still can ask the really stupid questions. Maybe not in the coming months, but still can. So it's also about this why are we doing these steps that actually they're completely other way. So kind of and we'd use a better data, we'd use a better AI. And automation on top of it, do we actually need that task at all? Can we just skip it and provide for example, our customers the ability to make their self-service selection without kind of anyone thinking in the background that, hi, what would be the preference the customer wants? But the customer knows what she or he wants. Let's give the voice to the customer. But we need to provide the options, and there the automation and AI will help us.
How would you describe the use of automation in your work? What does it mean for you?
Yeah, for my personal work, I'm still hoping to get the co-pilot, so the PowerPoints are gone. So that's the kind of big cheer for that. So that's of course the kind of the dream come true. But nowadays it's more about using the external data to help on the decision making. So I think that's a great value because previously you didn't have time, you couldn't analyze something that happens around you. You are fully focused on what happens inside. So actually now you can look externally and understand from external that what that actually means for us and what are the possibilities that would bring. So I think that's for me has been the biggest changer in a sense.
How do you feel about it? Is it humbling in a way because you get kind of new perspectives that you haven't?
Yeah, it is. It is humbling, and it's also sometimes you can feel a bit little in a sense that holy. Yeah,
I get that too.
What are you gonna do next? So that's of course something that, and also coming back to the kind of the role of a CIO, what's that gonna be in the future? Do we need this kind of role? I don't think that in a really long term you don't, because you should be learning that the skills need to be learned by all the guys within the company, and also with the help of automation and with the help of low code, that will be a kind of much long-hanging fruit. It's not yet that low, but it will be a long it will be on the reach of everybody in the company.
Yeah, you're kind of describing it very. At the same time, we are talking about corporate level and individual level, and it's challenging all of us.
Yes,
it's kind of that's what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
Kind of going to the closing already. You kind of mentioned already the future in a way. So how do you see the interaction happen in the future? What's the human and machine interaction in the future?
Yeah, I think that first thing is that it will be the assistant. So they're kind of assisting you in you doing all your tasks. So that's the kind of the first way of doing it. And then at some point it starts to be also providing new insights and new experiences from externally. And then in the end, it's basically going to be a marriage of the AI and the human in almost every role, and you need to be able to find the balance. Like in a real relationship and a marriage, anyway, you need to find the balance, and you need to be able to really also have challenging times there with an AI. That's for sure going to happen, and you might even argue with an AI. But the good thing, at least so far, is that there's only one winner in that game so far. So let's see how the future will bring.
Yeah, that marriage point actually touched me in a way that because I'm a mediator in marriage conflicts actually as a hobbyist, and I
that's
think
an interesting hobby.
Yeah, so it's going to be mediator of AI and humans. Yeah. Who knows? Okay. Well, thanks for having the chat. It was really kind of eye-opening and interesting at the same time.
Thank you, Marko.
Thank you very much for this conversation. Now, you know the drill by now. Before we start with the questioning, I have a question for you. Yes, you. So, based on this conversation that we just had and what you've heard, and basically the whole morning here, would you say that you would rather have more or less AI-supported decision-making in your own work? You can say more, you can say less, and this time I'm going to judge you if you say I don't know, because that means that you just don't know. Thank you. Take your time with that. Meanwhile, I really appreciate the sort of common theme that you had throughout your conversation about how it's really not about the AI, it's not about the automation kind of taking over and doing all the heavy lifting and just it being all about that. It's more like creating more space for people and more space for people to have time for people, and just a combination of this top-down and bottom-up approach to really take into consideration all the viewpoints. Antti, how do you as an organization encourage this culture of collaboration and communication between automation and human decision-making?
Yeah, at the moment, it's really been so that, like I said, we had the kind of the strategy execution where we are then supporting the different teams that are building the actual strategy capabilities with an AI and with the kind of use of external data as well to help them to kind of figure out the new path, how to do things. And it's also the kind of the lifting up open demos within the company that you actually have this open culture in a sense that you provide the new ideas and you share the ideas within the company. So that's clearly one thing. And it's more about try it out, but don't try it with the inside data. so try it out, but still be careful. So that's basically the main themes.
Safety first.
Yeah.
And at the same time, moving forward with the tools that you have, just to try it out, test it, learn more.
Yes.
Again, we have great questions from our audience. I'm sometimes hesitant because we're looking at the job losses, but let's go. This is a question you answered, you wanted us to ask. So, do you personally believe that automation will cause job losses on the IT professions in the upcoming years? What are your thoughts on this?
My personal thoughts are that the kind of instant reaction is no. It will actually, if you look whatever has happened in the kind of industrial development and everything in the history, the humans have been given more ability to have free time or more ability to do more. We have always selected do more. So I would say that it's going to be, at least in the beginning, still the same thing, that you actually enhance the clock speed, you enhance the kind of capabilities to achieve more. So no, there won't be less job at least in the beginning. Then the bigger part will be at some point that if AI takes the role of the kind of the little task and first tasks, so we don't train people to do those little tasks and first tasks. So how do we kind of jump that junior phase then over? Mm-hmm. You know, that's going to be that thing. And yeah.
Again, learning and development are like pondering upon how to do that. I actually want to put on my devil's advocate hat, and I go back to Danny's presentation, where he mentioned that in 3 years, the possible efficiency gains of utilizing low code might be 4x. Not 4%, not 40%, but 4x to existing. this is a real question from me. If we have professionals who are doing 4X, is there demand for that, or what are we going to do?
It's a great question, because if you look now, something that was supposed to be 4X is 5G.
Yeah.
How many use cases do we have for 5G? So that's an interesting thing. That what will the kind of if we have the more ability to do stuff and in a more faster way, how do you actually then utilize that?
My Instagram cat videos are much faster.
Yeah.
No, that's again, yeah. A question from the audience. How do you see the automation affecting the top-level management? For example, could the role of CIO be replaced by AI and an assistant to AI? And I want to be now your helper. If this is for Finnish audience, we do have legislation that, for example, CEO has certain responsibilities, and currently it has to be a person made out of flesh and bones. Yeah. So it can be, but again, let's look at broader. You already mentioned CIOs. What are your thoughts on the boardroom?
Yeah, it's a really valid point, and I have had a chat with a person who is actually using AI as a board work already. Yep. So it's already happening. So again, it starts at least now that you have the external view, because especially for a board member, you don't have the insights of the company. You only have the insights what the kind of the management brings you. So when you are then bringing in the external view of the company, and you can bring that with the help of AI to every single decision-making point that you have, even live at the meeting. So that will change how the board interaction will go, and the board members are then they kind of better equipped to challenge the leaders.
And there, I think it was a great question on an assistant. As we're looking, I'm also in a few boards, and what we're doing is we're prompting, like, let's say you have a top-tier management consulting report, 18 pages. Yep. And the worst way is to put it on your board WhatsApp group, only the link. Yeah. The second best is, this is really interesting. Like, okay, thank you. But then when you're able to have, to summarize it, I'm the CIO. Yeah. I'm the chief marketing officer, or whatever is your role, whatever you're doing in the board, in the management team, that you get a personalized summary of the report, and you're able to have the discussion points from there. I think that is a great tool. Yes. And that impacts all knowledge workers or alike. There was one question still, again, this is for you, because if we look at the cabin crew at Finnair, we're absolutely going to, this is my view to the future, we're going to see humans. We're in planes, and then there are so different roles. So what's your tip of the day for people in the audience who are thinking, how are we going to move forward? Like there's such many different roles in the company.
Yeah, of course, it depends again from your own daily task already. So start what you already have now and build from there that how you can use AI to assist yourself to be better in that particular role. And at the same time, learn from external data and use of external views to become better at your own job at the moment. And then build from there, because you could, for example, go to a completely different direction, and that's creating you a completely new career.
Excellent. Let's look at the results.
You have submitted your answers for the poll, and I'm quite delighted, I will say. So more said 85%, 5% said less, and only 8% said I don't know. So there's only 8% of you that I have to find.
They're listening to you.
Yeah, good.
I want to say at this point, thank you